All right. The Hangout on Air is live. Hello, everybody. Oh, now it says live. It said, had two little displays there. Hello, everybody. I'm Christiana Ellis.
And I'm Mike Mateen.
We're tonight talking about Survivor, the upcoming start of season 33. I can't remember if the actual subtitle is Millennials versus Gen X, but it's something like that.
I think it is.
Yeah. So
we need to pull up the page anyway. So
yes. So as is our typical routine here at Talking About Survivor, in advance of each new season beginning, we like to look at the bios that they put on the CBS website for each castaway and make snap judgments about them based on, a very quick read. I think last season we actually discussed the term hot take and whether or not it applied. Like, is it just that you're not putting a lot of consideration into it, or is it deliberately inflammatory? Like, is that, what does the term hot take entail? But short version is we're doing short versions of our impressions.
Right. And I think what we came up with was that it originally was meant to mean a short version, and it has evolved into a derisive term. No thought was put into or was intentionally inflammatory. Yeah.
And I feel like I see it most now as a sort of a self-deprecating thing. Like, people call their own thoughts a hot take when they...
It evolves a second time.
Yeah. Okay, so if you guys want to follow along with us, what you need to do is go to cbs.com/shows/survivor/cast. Then there's another slash. I don't think you have to type that. But that will show you where there are these biographies that we're going to look through. The website does not make it obvious how to get there. That's why I read the link for you. So I've got a timer ready, and we're going to pull up each bio. And 2 minutes is our standard. Do you have any reason you think we ought to, modify that in any way?
No, I prefer to stick with that.
Sounds good to me. Okay, so as we start each, hopefully I'll remember to start it each time. And when it ends, we will hear this sound. Is that coming through? Well, it came through maybe on... There we go.
It is.
Good. So, also just a brief note in case this... Actually, the output of this show ends up looking different or being different in some way that I can't anticipate. We are now using it through YouTube Live for the first time rather than the old version of Hangouts on Air. So hopefully everything is working. Okay, so, oops, shoot. There we go. I think, I'm sorry, I'm just... I'm distracted now by trying to make sure if it's working or not. Can you say something?
Something.
Okay.
I'm on the page. I'm on the Millennials page, ready to go.
All right. Well, oh, yeah, okay, good. I wanted to confirm that it was switching back and forth between us, so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's fine.
All right. So, our first contestant, you have it as a Millennials page, or you've picked the first person?
The way that I have my thing on Meet the Cast, page 2 shows all of the Millennials.
Okay, see, what I'm looking at the link that I read out, has everybody like all together in alphabetical order.
Okay. I'm in a different page then.
Okay. Try going to the link that I read, which is cbs.com/shows/survivor/cast.
All right.
So this is definitely, as anyone who's a new viewer or listener, this is pretty much what you get. This is our podcast is, informal, conversational, disorganized, unplanned.
Yep.
All right. So the first contestant alphabetically is Adam Klein. So start the timer. So Adam is 25. He is on the Millennials tribe, which I guess is Vanua. He is a homeless shelter manager from San Francisco, California. One of the things that's going to show up on all of these apparently now is what does it mean to be a millennial? And he says it's anything is possible. If you have dreams, go after them. I don't think you have to pay your dues before you can be successful. Don't just work harder, work smarter, and make your goals a reality. He says he chaired a Relay for Life event that raised $135,000 for cancer research. His mom is his inspiration in life, and he says his mom survived Auschwitz. So that's a significant experience that I'm sure shaped her and him indirectly.
Yes.
If he could have three things on the island, he would want a picture of his family to keep himself grounded, a fake hidden immunity idol, and a razor because he hates mustaches with a fiery passion. What kind of millennial is he that hates mustaches?
That's a hipster, not a millennial. They're different.
They're so different. All of these terms have very precise meanings, right? Yes. And they're not at all arbitrary. Anyway, as a side note, well, here, let's finish talking about Adam here. But well, he thinks he'll survive Survivor. Nobody is going to fight as hard as I will for that title. I may be and look young. I may be small. Whoop, there we go. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Well, let me make my one comment on him since you just sort of read his thing.
Yeah, sorry.
He has a line on here that says, "The money is secondary but not unimportant because it would allow me to continue my passion for social justice."
There you go.
Now, they basically found like the guy they let off with is like the most stereotypical like millennial, Yeah. I mean, that's a thing without getting into a huge political thing. Like that is just a piece that bothers me when people say, "Oh, I am fiscally conservative but socially liberal," and it's like, so you want us to do all this stuff, but you don't want to give any money to pay for it. So how does that work? And that's basically what he's saying here is like, hey, I want to do all this stuff that doesn't make me money, so I need money to come from somewhere.
Mm-hmm. What I was going to say that I didn't want to take time away from talking about Adam, this is a broader thing, is just to say that I'm going to go ahead and acknowledge right up front that making overblown pronouncements about the generational differences is a pet peeve of mine. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to be having a tendency throughout this season, I'm sure, to roll my eyes and be sarcastic every time they try to make a big deal about it. It is, in fact, the whole theme of the season. However...
Well, and they've invited it by asking them specifically what they...
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And he's answered. So they're all going to answer it in that broad sense.
Yeah. So I guess what I just want to say is that, like, this happened on Facebook the other day, too, when I was reacting to an obnoxious headline on this subject, is just that it's a pet peeve of mine. I'm going to try to stop talking about it so much. So everyone can just take as read that I roll my eyes at that stuff. I'm not going to make a big deal about it every time it comes up because that would get really old in this show, I think, in this season.
Look, if you want to change the world, change it.
Oh, I can't though. I was born in the wrong generation, sort of, depending on who you ask, because it's kind of like what's the dividing line year? I don't know. Anyway,
it's basically right when we were born.
Yeah.
We kind of can pick and choose. All right.
So we can pick the things that we like from one, the things we don't like. All right. Our next contestant, alphabetically, is Brett LaBelle. And so he is on the Gen X tribe, Takali. And he is a police sergeant from Dedham, Massachusetts. I don't want to just read the whole thing and not let you talk this time. He has pet peeves of couples who sit on the same side of the booth. People who talk politics and religion at Thanksgiving. I agree with him on that one. Like, I wouldn't call it a pet peeve because I guess it doesn't bother me, but it is weird. It just seems like, don't you want to be able to talk to each other? Like, don't you have to turn your head? It just seems awkward.
Yeah, it's easier to like interact with each other from across the booth.
Yeah. They're kind of designed that way on purpose. That's why you choose a booth instead of sitting at the bar or something. Anyway. But so he says, what does it mean to be a Gen Xer? He is someone who has to work very hard for everything that they have in life. Not at all like what the millennial guy said. They actually had to go to school, not just online, ride the bus and study hard. I'm sorry. Okay, I'm doing it again. I already just said I wasn't going to do that. Okay. He received the Human Award for Bravery from the governor of Massachusetts for disarming a gunman in 2014. The Human Award for Bravery is kind of a weird name for an award. Like what other categories do they have?
I don't know. You're in Massachusetts.
Yeah. I've not won awards for bravery, though, human or otherwise. He would say...
They've certainly led off with two very stereotypical... Not that they are stereotypical, but they have led them into behaving stereotypically in their comments. That's all I have to say about that.
Sure. No, and the thing is, though, that these are just also the first two alphabetically. My guess is they're all going to be like this. Because it is not going to be hard for anyone of this age to just pick a team, decide which one you are, and then here's your horoscope for what that means you're like. All right. It's going to be hard for me to not just constantly get on that. Okay. Next up, Chris Hammonds. All right. He is 38. He's from Moore, Oklahoma. He's a trial lawyer. He's also on the Gen X tribe. He thinks he'll be able to survive Survivor because he's always been able to juggle people and their different personalities. He can tolerate almost all kinds of people and connect with them.
Yes, I like that his overcoming his drug trafficking father and putting himself through college, then law school, earned the respect of his community to the point where they actually put a sign that said the home of Chris Hammonds outside for a while.
Wow. That is...
I think it was more as like an honor to him, not as a actual, because he said it's in his garage now, so I don't think it was a permanent thing. I think it was it was probably like a temporary, like when he graduated law school or something, but it's still pretty cool. Yeah,
no, that is cool. I can't help but fixate just a little bit on the
Gen X
I was going to say
to do that.
No, what I was going to say is his hometown is called Sulphur, Oklahoma.
Mm-hmm.
Who would name a town Sulphur? That's just weird. All right. Anyway, his pet peeve is smacking gum. I hate it. I would do away with all gum on earth if I could. So it's not enough for people to just not smack gum around him. He needs to eliminate it from the planet.
All right.
He works out to relieve stress. He strategizes to be successful as a hobby and challenges himself to be the best as a hobby. All right.
I like him.
Yeah, sure. I mean, he seems fine. I do like the kind of the overcoming hardship angle. I actually, I'm kind of charmed by the extreme of his dislike for gum. It's just funny to when he has a pet peeve, he really has a pet peeve. All right, so that was the timer. Next is Ciandre Cece Taylor. She is 39, which they're calling Gen X here. It'll be interesting to see where they divide it, like who's the youngest Gen X and who's the oldest millennial in their tribe designations.
Right. So far, our youngest Gen X is 38, right?
Well, did we see a 38? I wasn't paying attention, maybe.
Yes. You go ahead and read that. I'll double check these.
All right, so she says, what does it mean to be a Gen Xer? She says, wow, just thinking about my history, childhood, and past brings me to tears, but also makes me smile. I came from a generation of fighters. The foundation of my family was built on strong women. Yes, my great-grandparents, grandparents, and parents were married, but unfortunately they didn't stay married. During that time, raising children as a single parent was extremely hard, but the strength of the women of my family showed their will to never give up. And all of that is great stuff. Doesn't seem directly related to the Gen X label, which makes me happy. Okay, so we worked hard, and if we failed, we tried again. That's the overall mindset of a Gen Xer. Except that, wasn't the whole point when Gen X was sort of initially coined was that they actually don't care about anything? I don't know. It's because it's all garbage. Anyway, I do like her.
Evolved since yeah. What you're talking about, yeah.
Maybe because they're older now and they're not young people, so it's not old people complaining about young people anymore. Now they are the old people complaining about young people. All right. Oh, you guys, I hope you can understand that this is just boiling underneath my skin the whole time. All right.
Maybe 20 years ago, these were the same arguments that were given for baby boomers versus Gen Xers?
Could be. These kids today, they just don't know how to work hard. They think they're just entitled to everything.
Yep.
Said Generation 1 about Generation 2 at the dawn of time. All right. Anyway.
She seems nice, but very wordy.
Yes. She writes like she probably talks. It's also possible that that's just a transcript of something that was given as a verbal answer to begin with, because saying things like, wow, when I think of at the beginning of an answer to a written question is kind of strange.
Yeah. The youngest so far is 38. That was Chris Hammond's.
Okay, well, so according to Survivor then, 38 at least so far. We'll see if there's another dividing line that they use. All right, so next up, David Wright. He is 42, therefore he is in the Gen X category. He is a television writer from Sherman Oaks, California. Television writer. I wonder what did he write? Does it say anywhere?
He has not listed.
Mm-hmm. Well, that doesn't necessarily mean anything. It's also possible that, he would sort of deliberately, like even if he does write on something notable, he wouldn't want to bring that into it.
Right.
I could see that. If he's just part of a, writer's room for something. But it's also, he doesn't list anything, so we don't know how successful a television writer he is. As a hobby, he has 3D printing puzzles. That's cool. That's a neat choice.
Cool. It's neat.
Gonna really split hairs there.
Print some 3D puzzles? No, that's not cool. And especially when the 3 words to describe him are OCD, nervous, and paranoid. He is not cool.
His personal claim to fame is playing chess against Magnus Carlsen, the #1 ranked player in the world.
And obviously losing.
He's obviously awesome. He's cool, right? His inspiration in life is Mr. Spock from Star Trek.
He also doesn't know eat breakfast anymore, which isn't true. That's just a non.
Why does no one eat breakfast anymore?
Breakfast. Why does no one eat breakfast?
Breakfast? Like what? I mean, like some people maybe don't eat breakfast, but my guess is it's in approximately the same proportions as always.
Yeah, that's
It's
an
not
absurd.
like the 50s when everybody sat around the table fully dressed and ate mountains of pancakes. And that was probably not even the 50s. That was the 50s on TV.
Yes, I think everyone has generally eaten breakfast in approximately the same way. Like you're rushed or you're not, and you eat
this
it.
Season is going to be full of this stuff. It just is, and I'm trying to come to peace with that. Anyway, this guy seems super nerdy. It's hard to tell how socially competent he is. We'll have to see him interact with people.
I think he specifically says on there that he looks up to people who don't fit in. So there you go.
Well, maybe not then. All right, next, Hannah Shapiro. She is 24 on the Millennials Tribe. She is a barista from West Hollywood, California. And you said the first guy was the stereotypical millennial. 3 words to describe you: nerdy, competitive, and weird. She likes skiing, scuba diving, eating. Plus, I can hula hoop and walk at the same time, which is, I don't know necessarily why you need to do that, but it does sound difficult. Pet peeves: someone who likes to kill people. Not sure why, that's just such a pet peeve of mine. Also, people who stick their gum on public benches or fart in small elevators.
Equivalent.
Yeah, they're
sarcastic in the first. I think she just has a weird sense of humor.
Yeah, could be. Being a millennial means being hip, cool, nifty, and totally rad. Go young people. No, I'm not secretly an 80-year-old neurotic Jewish lady. I don't know what you're talking about. Okay, so she's funny.
And it doesn't translate well into this format. Like, I mean, you can, once you kind of read it, we can get it, but it's kind of odd at first.
Yeah, she's clearly having fun with these answers. So, personal claim to fame: I was Ben Franklin in my 8th grade production of 1776. I sang out of tune, people clapped, and it was an electric moment of fame. I like that. I like her a lot so far. If she could have 3 things on the island, they would be a journal, one with an old school lock that says keep out on the front. That way I could write to stay sane and nobody would read what I wrote because there's a keep out sign on it. An old buff I bought and an old timey compass. People would be like, she must be hip. Just look at that old timey compass.
Yeah.
I love her already. She's my favorite so far. Oop, here we go.
Yeah, she is funny. I like the compass line.
Yeah. All right. Moving right along. So next up is Jessica Figgy Figueroa. She is 23. She is a bartender from Nashville, Tennessee. And I said it in a weird tone of voice for some reason. She likes kayaking, videography, and watching football. I wonder what she means by videography. Like, I mean, I guess she's making videos, but that can cover a lot of ground, right?
Yeah.
I feel like compared to photography, you sort of just more straightforward. I'm not judging. It just means I have less understanding of what she means. Like, what is she actually doing? Her reason for being on Survivor is the challenge. I was brought up in a crazy household outside of the inner city with crime happening right outside our windows. I've had to fight for everything I ever had in my life, and Survivor is the ultimate fight I want to take on. Mentally and physical, my strength is unreal. And she says she is most like Stephanie LaGrossa, which, Stephanie is kind of a mixed history in the game overall. I mean, she's certainly notable.
Yeah. She seems young.
Yeah.
And I don't just mean in age, like just her.
No, I could see that. She would.
Sorry, go ahead.
She would bring. Okay. Yeah, she would bring a razor, a pair of water shoes. I would rather not step on sea urchins, but if I must, I must. Okay. And a blanket. I don't consider that to be a survival item. I could use a tribe member for that. Okay, that's a little weird. Like some of those feel like they're also trying to be jokes, but they don't land quite as well as Hannah's.
Yeah, it doesn't start to come together like Hannah's. It started off a little bit sloppy because you didn't realize they were jokes, and then once you kind of got the rhythm, like it made sense. Hers, there's no rhythm. It's kind of
it is just kind of a little bit of non sequitur in there. Anyway, that was time for Jessica. So, we have 2 Jessicas apparently. So next up is Jessica Lewis. And, she is 37 and on the Gen X tribe. So we have a new, I was about to say a new bar that's been lowered. That's not really, that has the wrong connotation.
No, you've lowered the bar plenty already.
Yeah. It's a lower threshold, maybe?
Yes.
All right. So it's good enough, too, that the 2 Jessicas are not on the same tribe, so we don't have to make that weird. Although I guess the other one has her nickname of Figgy anyway. But this Jessica is an assistant district attorney in Voorheesville, New York. Her pet peeve is people who blame others for their own misery, which I sort of have mixed feelings about, because on the one hand, like, yeah, that seems like that would be annoying if that's what's happening. But I also feel like I've met people who say that as basically what I would interpret as they don't like people who have it worse than them saying so and making them feel bad. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they just don't want to hear about other people's problems. But I don't know. It's not necessarily a 1-for-1. It's may just be me. I'm thinking of specific people that I've met. Anyway.
I don't like it because it's like, even though it's not directly like.
It's judgmental.
Right. It's judgmental. So like you're tangentially doing the same thing that the people that you have the pet peeve about. That's what I'm trying to explain. Like, it's not exactly what they're doing, but it's kind of the same thing. It's in the same neighborhood, you know. By you blaming those people for blaming other people, you're just as judgy and blamey as them.
Yep. Yeah. So it may not play that way when we meet her, but that's definitely kind of like, that's the subconscious vibe I get when I read that. All right. Next is Justin J. Starrett, who's got long hair, wearing his buff over his head like that. It's kind of, I don't know, I guess in the picture, I'm not sure what conclusion I'm drawing there. He is 27. He's a real estate agent from Fort Lauderdale. He's on the Millennial Tribe. He likes skimboarding, fishing, and pretty much any sport. His personal claim to fame is purchasing his house at the age of 25, and I want to know how you did that. So millennial means freedom to me. We are born in a time when anything is possible. Social media and all these different outlets to help you learn information quickly, but give you the capability to become or create anything. You can chase your dreams and do things that are out of the box. As long as you are working toward your dream and not just sitting there thinking about it, you can become successful. Okay. Buying a house at 25 is sort of significant, but can't help but, like, it's significant enough that you want to know how it happened.
Yeah. Well, what does he do? Well,
he's a real estate agent. So
he probably made enough money and found a good deal.
Yeah, although I have to say, like, my dad's been looking into doing that in his spare time now that he's retired. And there's a lot involved with getting the license for that. And so to be 25 and already making a lot of money at it suggests additional factors in play. Not like dishonest or like it was all given to him or anything, but just there's something else happening there. Just because that would not normally be the
either he's
rate.
Super motivated or he has familial help.
Yeah,
those are
could be both.
2 options. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Here we go. So I just because it was the last thing I noticed, he says Russell Hantz is the contestant he's most like.
And Wu.
Oh, okay. Those are two people that are not like each other at all.
Well, yeah, and that's why I pointed that out, because I kind of like him from the beginning, because
Oh yeah.
I'm going to go, since he didn't make it sound like he had any kind of familial help. Like, he made it sound like he earned his way into the real estate business.
Well, he does talk about chasing your dreams and working hard instead of just thinking about it. So
he might actually be able to back that statement up. You know, he's not the bartender who's like, you can change the world, and I'm bartending to do so. You know, he said you can go be successful if you put your mind to it, and he has been at 27. So he backs it a little bit, and I like the fact that he's like a combination between Russ, like he's kind of like Wu the bro, but he's like a smart, hardworking bro. Like, if that's really who he is, I'm a fan.
Okay, so. Yeah, like I think I got distracted by wondering, the intricacies of real estate business. But yeah, no, I could see that. We'll have to see how he comes across in the game.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, we'll have to see, because your question is valid, and I'm defaulting to he worked hard to get there, and we'll see how that turns out. Okay.
Yep.
Onward.
All right. Next, Ken McNichol. He is 33, and they say Gen X. So that they're definitely they're blurring the boundaries a little bit. I wonder if we'll have any actual overlap, like someone who's younger but they decided is more like Gen X, and so they put him there, and then we have someone who's older but more like millennial, and they put him there. I wonder. We'll have to keep an eye on that. But
because 33 is, I think, is probably almost definitively millennial. But
most of the year boundaries I've heard that it would be. So in any case, he is a model from Denver, Colorado. He is driven, mindful, and perceptive. He likes anything outdoors: camping, fishing, hiking, playing and watching music, and dancing. Personal claim to fame is the development of his nonprofit, Humane Kind. I just have to say right now, that's a terrible name. I don't like it. Might be great charity or nonprofit or whatever. So I'm not judging whatever it does. I don't like the name, personally. He admires the Dalai Lama's compassion, wisdom with forgiveness, and willingness to give of himself. He wants to be on Survivor to win, to show my daughter my strengths and what it looks like to fight for something. I like that.
Yep.
He says he's most like Ozzy because of his easy temperament, his fierce competitiveness, his resourcefulness, and knowledge of how to survive in the wild. Also, he seems idealistic and optimistic in general. So, despite my nitpicking about the name of his nonprofit, I like him. He's got a lot going for him, I think. Let's see what his personality's like, but seems like he's a hardworking guy who goes out there and he's talking about make the world a better place. It seems like that's kind of his whole MO, like for real, not just to say it.
Things good on paper. So.
Yeah. All right. Next is Lucy Huang. She is 40. What?
Stubborn, hardworking, and controlling. That's a good start.
Well, she is 42. She is a dietitian in Diamond Bar, California. She likes lifting weights, cooking with her kids, and watching food shows to find new restaurants. Is that what food shows are for? I don't know.
Yeah.
I guess. Her pet peeves are lazy people with no common sense, and whiners, which goes right along with that stubborn, hardworking, and controlling, doesn't it?
Yes.
I don't know. There can be people who I would describe that way that can still be nice, but it's also potentially red flags.
Yeah. I'm not feeling her.
Yeah. If she could have 3 things on the island, she would want a picture of her family, a book to kill time, and a journal to document my experiences. These are pretty generic, but reasonable. It's not, it's not dumb. Those are that's like a real answer, right? As opposed to jokey stuff.
Well, here's one of the ones that I know, at least if it doesn't rile you up, it does me. The trophies were earned, not given, just for participating in sport.
Yeah.
It's fucking bullshit. You know how many participation trophies I have? Like, and I'm, by their definition, I'm definitely a Gen Xer. Everything I ever participated in, I have a fucking trophy for.
Yeah, I totally remember participation trophies when we were kids. That's not new.
Right. And I get it when...
It's also kids know what they are. It's not like kids are dumb enough to not realize what's happening.
Right. And I get it when people have complained when they're, like, large. Like, we used to just get, either a medal or, like, a little thing or a small, like... But, yeah. Mm-hmm. So I get that some have been exaggerated over time.
Well,
but
that's been
not a new thing.
Yeah, well, and that's become one of the more recent, like that's one of the buzzword things to complain about, and I tend to, anytime I see someone repeating that with any degree of seriousness, and I say, yeah, and they keep putting up the Christmas decorations earlier every year too, because they haven't been complaining about that in the exact same way since the 50s at least. There's like a Peanuts cartoon from the 50s with that joke in it. About, they're putting up the Christmas decorations before Halloween this year.
I have an entire, like, rack of participation medals from, like, marathons and triathlons and, like, all the runs and stuff I do. And those are not millennial events. I am not a millennial. And all of the Gen Xers and baby boomers and everybody, they all collect their participation trophy and they love it because they complete the task.
Well,
like,
it's also legitimate because there are kids who did not participate, right? Like if you're a kid and you actually went out there and you put yourself out there to do something as opposed to the kid who doesn't do anything but watch TV all day, like there's a difference there and that's worth acknowledgement.
Yes.
Anyway. Okay, so yeah.
So I don't like her.
Okay, yeah, fair enough. I agree.
I have a poor first representation of her. I don't want to say I don't.
Well, it also doesn't help that she's kind of scowly in her picture too. The picture that they've chosen, like she is literally the only one here. Well, okay, that's not true. I was going to say she's the only one who's not smiling, but there's a couple of the guys that are kind of doing their serious tough guy face. But she just kind of looks like she's judging you in this picture.
And I feel like she doesn't pick the picture, they do. I feel like they chose a picture that they felt like represented how she behaves. So they're also saying that she's not awesome. All right. There we go. All right, we're good. Yeah, we have close to crossover on the next one.
Okay. So next is Mari Takahashi. She is 31 and considered a millennial. So 33 was Gen X, 31 is millennial according to these. And she is a professional video gamer.
Take a quick step aside. I do like that Survivor has kind of blurred the lines, and they're not just taking this hard, like, they've actually tried to take people who, like, characterize into these. And I think, and hopefully, Probst is clever enough. There may be a time when these people who are in that late 20s, early 30s are somehow interacting with each other. And he points out that, you know what, you're all pretty much the same age. Like, we really need to do, I'm hoping it comes up. But anyway.
It turns out that when we cast interesting people to be on our season of Survivor, there are actually a whole range of ages with all sorts of different kinds of experiences and personalities all across the spectrum. But we've got to divide them into two groups, of course, so let's just draw a line. And you know what? The line isn't halfway in between, so let's just scoot it.
Well, it's like, I love that they didn't actually even draw a line.
Yeah.
They just sort of, they were like, you're more like that, you're more like that. Yeah.
So because we were like 3/4 into Mari's time without actually talking about her at all, I'm restarting that timer. So she's a professional gamer, which is cool. And it's certainly very into the whole like stereotype of millennials in terms of finding your own thing to be successful at rather than following some pre-existing career path.
Yep.
Her inspiration in life is Facebook Chief Operating Officer Sheryl Sandberg. because she's been a huge inspiration to me and has had a huge impact on the way I've moved up in the industry. And that's like not an inspiration in the abstract. It sounds like maybe she actually knows her. I don't know. But yeah, so she.
I mean, Sheryl Sandberg has been so accessible, though. Like, that's one of her big things is she feels like even if she doesn't actually like there. I know a lot of people who have felt that same way. Like she's had an impact on them, just because of her books and her TED talks and like.
This is my gap because I didn't even know who she was. That's what I'm saying. It's that I had no idea who that was. So that's why, it was a gap in my understanding.
I would recommend her book, by the way. Lean In.
Oh yeah, okay. I've heard of that book. I just didn't know who wrote it.
Yeah, that's Sheryl Sandberg's book. Yeah. So
okay.
And her Stanford graduation speech from last year is pretty amazing. So another thing to. Sorry to digress, but
no problem. So she says she'll survive Survivor because she is tenacious. She loves winning. I play to win. I compete every single day. Video games keep my mind sharp, my hand-eye coordination on point, and constantly hungry to get that W. And then she's a background in ballet will shatter everyone else's chance of dominating in any balance challenge. Social game is calculated and precise. Social strategy is what she does. One doesn't accrue over 35 million fans across the internet by chance. Oh, see, that's significant. Yeah, she could really be a force to be reckoned with, I think, actually.
I kind of dig her chances, yeah.
Yeah. All right, well, moving on. Next is Michaela Bradshaw. Clicked on the wrong thing. Okay. So she is 25. She is in the millennials. She is in vacation club sales in Fort Worth, Texas. Pet peeves: when incompetent people try to instruct me, when people do things inefficiently or wrong, when I lose, and when other people make me lose.
It's funny when one of the earlier people said part of being a millennial is you don't blame other people for your losses, basically. Yeah. So it's interesting. They don't even all agree on what it means to be a millennial.
Yeah. What she thinks is to be a millennial is to resonate with the idea that I can design my own life, which I think is both an actual answer, but even just the phrasing is also kind of there. To be a millennial is to resonate with the idea that I can design my own life.
Well, it gets worse. You keep reading.
Oh, okay. It's the notion that I should have the desires of my heart, not because I am entitled to them, but because God granted me the ability to attain them. Oh, okay. Being a millennial means I am bold enough to state a want and stubborn enough to work for it despite obstacles and the opinions of others. It means that my journey is only a failure if I stop moving forward. She seems like she is maybe the type that she's had to sort of struggle past criticism in the past. You know what I mean? Like she is used to people telling her she can't do it, and she's just kind of developed a personality where she says, well, I'm not going to listen to that. I'm going to, dig in and make it happen anyway. That's kind of what I get from some of these. She does mention God there. I wonder if she's...
Yeah, that's not a thing I've ever heard in a description of millennials, is that because...
Well, certainly you could...
The ability to attain things. That's just not a
it does look like she's pretty religious. Her godfather is her hero. For 20 years, he has read the Bible every day. Yeah, well, okay. I mean, there's religious millennials too. Okay, next. Michelle Schubert. She is 28. She is a missionary recruiter in Yakima, Washington. 3 words to describe you: hungry, hungry hippo. Okay.
That's funny.
Yeah, I do like that. Pet peeves: windshield wipers on a dry window. That's an unusual one. I just feel like, how often does that come up? I guess maybe it's just a sound she doesn't like.
Yeah, it must be something just that makes her skin crawl, and she remembers it.
Yeah. Hobbies. She loves learning, reading, and dancing. I seek beauty, adventure, and adrenaline. I like nature, exploring, rock climbing, slacklining, and the Settlers of Catan games. I also study dragons and the stars. Wow. That's kind of all over the place. I love that it's nature, exploring, rock climbing, slacklining, and the Settlers of Catan games. Anyone who doesn't know that, it's a board game. It's like a German board game, and like if you're into board games, it's a staple. But it's also one of those things where, like, unless you are into board games, you've probably not even heard of it. Inspiration in life. Can I say God? He created everything we've ever seen, touched, and experienced. He knows everything there is to know about everything because he created it. He must be big, intelligent, majestic, and awesome. And that's fine, but it's weird that she asks about it at the beginning. Can I say God? Anyway, that seems like she maybe has a chip on her shoulder about it a little bit. I don't know. We'll see. Reason for being on Survivor: a challenging and exciting adventure and money. She'll survive Survivor because she is cunning and able to catch on quickly.
I like that one of her descriptions of what it means to be a millennial is that you can fix just about anything using YouTube or Google, which I think is one of the most appropriate descriptions of millennial. Like, that is one of the things that is part of the millennial generation is that is truly a thing. Well, is the access to videos and learning and Google for anything at your fingertips. Like, that is that is one of the actual defining pieces.
Well, exactly. The idea that, like, certainly anyone can do it. It's not only millennials that can do it, but for sure, millennials are the ones growing up with that being the way you do it, as opposed to, like, going to the library or pouring through some big, thick encyclopedia or something like that, or having to ask someone, or more often, just not knowing and having to live with that. Although, what I have to say is that kind of resonates with me because I've just recently feeling a little bit of victory in my dad frequently will call me with computer tech support type questions, which is fine. I don't mind that. But I have I feel like over time started to make an influence in the sense that telling him, sometimes what you can do is actually just go to Google and type your exact question, and it will come up with an article that just tells you exactly what you need to know. That's what Google is for. You really can. You don't have to. So if you're having some weird error message, you don't have to type error message. You can just literally say, I am getting this error message. What do I do? And there will be an article that says, if you're getting this error message, this is what you do. Anyway, YouTube and Google, yay! All right. Okay, next is Paul. Oh, I was going to say Watcher, but I guess it's Wachter.
Wachter, yep.
All right. He is 52. That is the oldest we've seen so far. And so he is also apparently considered Gen X at 52. So at some point, I guess that would be the early Gen X, would it?
That seems late.
So
go ahead.
That would be 1964.
Yeah, anyway, I thought it was like 75 plus or something, like 1975 plus, but
yeah, he is not verbose in his answers. He has like all of these like one sentence answers to stuff.
Oh no, sorry. Yeah, 1961 to 1977 is the baseline.
Okay, well, not according to CBS. But anyway,
1961 he was born after 1961.
I said 1964.
Right. So he was born after 19. So he is in the.
Well, no, I was talking about the later, because 1977 would we had people younger than that being called Gen Xers in this thing.
Oh, yeah, true.
So that's what I was responding to.
Got it.
I'm restarting his timer because we really only talked about his age so far. He is a boat mechanic in Sugarloaf Key, Florida. 3 words to describe you: intimidating, methodical, and confident. Holy crap. That is a scary combination. Like, to self-describe yourself that way? His pet peeves are whiners and slackers. I am already afraid of this guy.
Yeah.
Treasure
hunting?
Well, he's a boat mechanic and he lives in the Keys.
So. Oh God, and he also thinks that the only definition of being a Gen Xer is someone who's never received a participation award.
Yeah.
I've got tons of them, and I'm
inspiration in life is David Lee Roth from Van Halen because he became one of the best frontmen in the world, and we share the same birthday. Okay, all right, okay. Why do you think you'll survive, Survivor? Because I have what it takes to be the winner. I am the sole survivor. Yeah, okay, I'm not feeling it with this guy.
No.
I don't know. See, like, he could just be someone who doesn't test well, so to speak, with filling out these answers. But boy, he just, I feel like I know a lot of guys like this, grumpy engineers that I'm thinking of, that just sort of, everything just, they know how to do it right. And if you just do it like they tell you to do it, it would be fine. But everyone just feels like they need to reinvent the wheel all the goddamn time. I just feel like he's a guy like that. I know a bunch of people like that. If he could have 3 things on the island, he would want his propeller necklace because his dad gave it to him, his thumb and pinky rings because his wife gave them to him. That's already 3 things. And his bracelet with his kids' names on it. Thumb and pinky rings. I guess that's, it's all hypothetical anyway. Well, and so anyway, that's the timer. And then Ozzy is who he's most like because he has the heart of a lion and I am a lion. That just makes me think of a bit from an episode of the Firefly TV show where the bounty hunter is on the ship and one of the characters asks him, "Are you Alliance?" Because they want to know, is like, did you come here from the Alliance? Is that why you're here? And he's like, am I a lion? Well, I don't think of myself as a lion, but I do have a mighty roar. Anyway, okay. The people in the cheap seats are loving it. All right. Next, Rachel Ako, or Ako. She is 37. She is a recruiting director in Los Angeles, California. She is in the Gen X tribe. Pet peeves, I guess I would say bad manners. And that's a promising answer to me because it sounds like she's not someone who is just constantly thinking about the things that she doesn't like. It's like she's answering the question, but in kind of a vague answer and also kind of framed with I don't know. I don't usually think about it, but I guess bad manners.
Follow that up with her answer to what a Gen Xer is. You'll love it.
We used to be viewed as the slackers until millennials came along. Kidding. Gen Xers are hard workers. However, I value what every generation brings to the table. Okay, good. Yeah.
So she answered it what she actually believed and then was like, oh, wait a minute. That's not the whole point of the show. So I need to say Gen Xers are hard workers. Her true answer is just like you said, she doesn't actually have any pet peeves, so she had to come up with something. Mm-hmm. She knew the true answer is, well, the next generation is always the slackers. Oh wait, that's not what I'm supposed to say. Mm-hmm. Kidding. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. She thinks she'll survive Survivor. I aim to be the first Asian Pacific Islander female to win Soul Survivor and $1 million. I have the ability to think so many steps ahead. I've been strategizing since a very young age. I started competing in chess at 6 years old and won trophies for it. That's kind of fun. Yeah, well, and she doesn't say, so might be real ones.
Yeah. Trophy.
Well, at 6 years old, if you've got a 6-year-old playing chess at any level, I think they earn a participation trophy.
I'm joking.
I know.
Just saying.
I'm joking too. I'm playing along. Okay. I do sort. Whoops.
I like her. I think she has a tendency to say what's on her mind first and then explain it away, which could be an asset or a liability depending on how she's read by her group.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Okay. We're down to the last 4. So next up is Sunday Burquest. Sunday is an interesting name. Oh, and she is a youth pastor from Otsego, Minnesota. She is 45.
Awesome. Passionate and tenacious. Oh. I see 3 people already bonding here.
Well, it's funny. Bossy, compassionate, and tenacious is actually just sort of like in my head when I think of a youth pastor. It's like, yeah, that just seems exactly right. Hobbies: repurposing and painting furniture, interior design, and thrift shopping because I love the thrill of the hunt for a good deal. So as a sort of a counterpoint to the last one, pet peeves, she's got a whole list. She's just ready to share. Arrogant people and those who think they're God's gift to the human race. Catty women who make the snide comments, backhanded compliments, and make other girls in the room feel like they don't measure up. Plus, people who are late drive me nuts. See, that middle one almost that almost makes me a little bit sad. Like, it just makes me feel like she feels like people say stuff like that to her a lot. That's the instinct I get there. For myself, being a Gen Xer means being driven and hardworking. We don't expect things to be handed to us. We set goals and we work hard for what we want in life. We also don't think we deserve to win in every situation and actually look at failure as an opportunity to learn. On the other hand, Gen Xers can be stuck in our ways and leery of new ideas. It would help a lot if we learned to listen to the younger generation and run with some of their new ideas. See, that last sentence kind of softens it, but the rest of it, I'm just sort of thinking almost like older people and younger people have always been to each other. Anyway, all right. I feel like we didn't talk. She had a lot of stuff in her bio. She had long answers to things. Okay. Anyway,
that doesn't fit in our 2-minute take.
No, it does not.
Sorry. We'll get to know you next week.
Yes. She's got kind of a squinty picture too. It's a little weird. An interesting picture that they chose there. All right. Next, Taylor Lee Stalker. He is 24, and he is a snowboard instructor in Post Falls, Idaho. He's millennials. Hobbies: playing music, brewing beer, and snowboarding. All right. Okay. Pet peeves: wobbly tables. People not cleaning up their dog's poop, loud chewing, slow walkers, selfies. Like, I just mean, like, that's not supposed to be a millennial pet peeve. Forms without enough space for answers. Oh, you know what? That does bug me too. That bugs me too.
You know what bugs me though is people not cleaning up dogs' poop. Like, that bothers me.
Yeah.
Like,
well, no, I agree there.
That's responsibility.
Yeah, totally. It is bad form to not do that. It is morally wrong, I would say. It's not a mortal sin, but it is wrong to not pick up after your dog.
So I would never have thought of that as a pet peeve of mine, but it is. If I see it, I am unhappy with it.
Yeah. What does it mean to be a millennial? Come on, man. We are open-minded, liberal, self-expressive, upbeat, connected, tech-savvy, and we invented the words sicky, sicky, nar, nar, ratchet, clutch, bay, and lol. I love my generation. We are all around epic. So what? This guy is Sean Penn from Fast Times at Ridgemont High? Is that what this guy is?
The millennial version.
Yeah. His inspiration in life is William Wallace, the Scottish knight. I am a fan of fearless people. He says he was most like Wu, and I believe that right away. Reason for being on Survivor? In all honesty, I have not thought about the money. I just want to kick ass at this game. I don't know, maybe.
Yeah, he's going to be so, like...
I can imagine him really getting on people's nerves.
Yeah, he's going to be like too bro.
Mm-hmm. He also seems like the guy who is going to really lean in to what the whole millennial stereotype. Like he's almost decided he's going to be the poster boy for that. All right, so 2 left. Next is Will Wall, who is only 18. He is a high school student.
He's push the envelope the other way.
Yeah. Like at that point, is he really still a millennial, or is he supposed to be? He's the next one, whatever comes next after that. He is cunning, adaptable, and dynamic. Hobbies: watching TV, mostly Survivor, camping and fishing, and reading news articles. Well, see, he would have to be really into watching TV, mostly Survivor, for him to have any sense of the history of the game at only being 18. Unless I suppose he could have been watching since he was a kid. I will just note here that in the little bit of a video that I watched where Probst was talking about the season, he specifically called out Will as being impressive. Not just for his age, but just seeming like he's really sharp. Oh no. Inspiration in life, Jesus Christ and Ronald Reagan.
And the standard definition for millennials would mean that 22 would be the low end. So.
Well, but they only have 2 tribes, so.
I understand.
Yeah. I know. I'm. All right. Anyway, personal claim to fame is being the youngest person to ever compete on Survivor, which is a dream that has finally become a reality. And he says that a millennial is creative, resourceful, intelligent, and above all else, adaptable, which, I think of all the various things people say about the generations, I'd say that one is kind of got the most truth to it just because it is actually most directly tied with the things that are legitimately different in the time period that they're growing up in.
Yep.
I don't want to play like any past Survivor. Each season is its own game, and should be unique. I will play the way I need to play in order to manipulate people. However, I do respect Randy Bailey, who I don't actually remember, but it says it's from Survivor Gabon and Heroes versus Villains, but I don't especially remember him. I'm going to follow the link real quick just so I can see a picture. And it's denying me a picture of him. It pulled up a bio, but no picture. All right. Fail. Anyway, I don't know. I'm interested in him because he's so young and because apparently he impressed Jeff Probst. So we'll see about that. And last but not least, although he may be the least given his shirt that he's wearing. Anyone who's getting this only in audio, he's wearing a Hawaiian shirt. I shouldn't judge. It's kind of cool, actually.
And a mustache.
Yeah. He does have the mustache. Oh, and it's got the little curlies and everything. All right, so Zeke Smith is our last contestant. He is 28. He is an asset manager in Brooklyn, New York. He is sharp, devilish, and unstoppable, which I'm already a fan of. Oh, and he's into improv, writing, improv, gym, and cooking. Yay, improv. Okay.
So yeah, he's got his first 2 are you, and his second 2 are me.
Yeah. Oh, and look at this. What does it mean to be a millennial? To be perfectly honest, I've never thought of myself as a millennial. Ask one of the other children.
Boom. Oh, love him already.
Inspiration in life, Joan Rivers.
Oh, she's a high school debater.
Into her 80s. The woman lived. Oh, man. I love this guy. Oh, let's see. Oh, so what if you could have 3 things on the island, what would they be? Hairspray, ostensibly for applications in fire making, but actually to keep my hair high and tight. Coffee, to calm the nerves and awaken the senses, so to be on alert for plots against me. Coffee treatments also bring out my hair's natural shimmer. And an industrial-sized vat of peanut butter. Who wouldn't bring a high-protein, high-fat, delicious treat to a starvation marathon? And lest we forget, peanut butter is a magnificent deep conditioner.
I love the he's clever enough to run the theme through all three of them.
That is fantastic.
I like him.
I love this.
I think this might be my favorite guy.
Yeah, I think so too. Why do you think you'll survive, Survivor? I'm tough as nails. Try to tear me down. Furthermore, people fascinate me. I can get along with anyone because I tend to be more curious than judgmental of an individual's quirks than judgmental. There's some repetition there, but that's fine. I'm surprisingly adept in the out of doors. Why surprisingly? And have been killing myself in the gym for the past 6 months, so I shouldn't drag ass in challenges. Okay, maybe that means he was not necessarily in greatest shape before, but whoop. Oh, and listen to this. Hopefully all those hours. Days years spent watching Survivor and listening to Survivor podcasts will yield at least some aptitude in the game. This guy is like custom tailored for us to like.
Yes.
Wow.
Maybe he listened to our podcast at one point.
It could be. You never know. Okay. All right. So that is our 2-minute take on everybody. So obviously Zeke there at the end was a favorite. Just zooming back up, who else do you remember standing out to you as interesting or exciting in some way?
So I'm going to go with my top 2 Gen Xers are going to be Zeke and Justin. Pending Justin actually.
Zeke is millennial, I think. Yeah.
Or sorry, millennial. Yeah, millennials. And Justin is also a millennial. Those are my top 2 millennials.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Just because of, Zeke, obviously, we just went through. And Justin, I'm defaulting to him having got to where he was by actually, like, setting that goal and getting to it.
Yeah, well, of course, we're still basing all of this on
right. We're basing that on that.
Quick judgment, yeah.
If he is not like that, then Michelle will be who if I had to move another person into my top 2, it would be Michelle Schubert, who was the Hungry Hippo, like the cheers.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
As far as Gen Xers, my favorites are. I'm gonna go with Chris Hammonds, just because the dude had his community put a sign about him.
Yeah, that's interesting. That makes me want to know more about that.
Yeah, I want to know more about that. And then Marie Takashi, I forgot she's older, but she's actually a millennial, isn't she?
Yeah, she's in the millennial tribe.
Well, she'll be my 4th of my top 2.
All right.
Man, I'm not a big fan of the Rachel. Yep, Rachel is my other top Gen Xer.
Okay, yeah. I will agree.
Funny.
I feel like. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
We have to see how her, like I said when we were looking at her, if her speak first and rationalize later mentality. If she's with people that like her and trust her, it's going to work well. Otherwise, it could be a little grating. And then I'll just say I am not wrong for Lucy, Paul, or Sunday. I'm a little bit more forgiving, but those are probably the 3 that I'm not thinking make it very long.
So I'm not going to try to pick like a top 2 necessarily, but I thought you called out some good ones definitely. I'm going to say I like Brett. He's the police sergeant from Massachusetts. And I will say also that when I was clicking back to his bio to remind myself, he has improv in his hobbies as well. And that's not the only reason I thought of him, but I will mention it now that I saw it.
Yeah, I think Brett might have been a little because he was our first Gen Xer and he was like he had all the stereotypes, and we didn't, once we kind of got used to the format, we softened on it.
Yeah, it's kind of everybody's primed for that, right?
Right, and his bio in context to the other ones, like he's actually I'm a fan. I'm good. Like that?
I liked as a millennial that we didn't that you didn't mention just this time. Hannah Shapiro
Yep.
seemed really funny. I like her. I also really like Mari or Mari. We'll see exactly how she pronounces it. Also Zeke. Like I think we're both on the same page there. That he seems really funny and charming at the very least. Whether he'll be good strategically or not is harder to say, but I hope so. I did like Rachel also. I feel like, though, there's more of the millennial tribe that I sort of kind of find myself immediately liking than the Gen X tribe. The Gen X tribe has more people that I sort of have a more negative snap judgment of.
And that's part of because how they set them up. Like they're trying to be these like, oh, we work hard and we don't tolerate this nonsense, and that's not how you and I feel. Mm-hmm. Even if like let's put our Gen X hats on, like we don't think of ourselves like that,
Mm-hmm.
And yes, some Gen Xers do, and the fact that they've gotten these people to sort of draw that delineation of like this is what it means to be a Gen Xer, I think that's why it rubbed us the wrong way. At least that for me,
I just checked the
we actually watch.
Yeah. I will say the David Wright it could go either way, but he seems very geeky, which I appreciate, and so how he comes across socially could go either way, but I like his geekiness. He's the guy with the 3D printed puzzles.
Yep.
Also, just of note, in the new little chat that we have on the YouTube live page, James Buchanan says, "I'm of the Pepsi generation." And it's that just makes me think. Yeah, it's like the generations might as well be just whatever. I can't believe the Survivor is doing a whole season based on this. Okay, it's fine. It'll be fine.
At some point, it will.
Every season that they do a theme like this, it lasts for like 4 or 5 episodes until they do tribe mix-up, and then it's like, who cares anymore?
Right, unless something dramatic, like unless there's like 5 Gen Xers and like 1 millennial, like then he'll draw those like, oh, but it's more of the original tribe versus the new tribe. It's not so much on the like, they will play it up like crazy at the beginning to get ratings, and you're going to be super frustrated. But it'll be fine. I'm kind of primed for it. I think it's also true that I think historically, whenever they do these themes, it may well be that it's really just sort of their trick to try to get people to not miss the new season by having something distinctive about it. And then once you're 4 or 5 episodes in, people are either watching it or they're not. And anybody coming to it new is going to have to catch up anyway. And so it's just like, then it can just be the game that's great that it's always been. But each new season has to try to spin itself as some way in order to combat the people who are inclined to say, Survivor, is that still on? Which I hear people say that still every time I mention it. Anyway. It's yes, it's still on and it's still awesome. And so we're going to talk about it. Is there... approach is still doing
so something that I know that you had mentioned to me when you first found out about it, and you were concerned, sort of feeling like it was a spoiler. But what I'll also say is that they're just some of the news stories right there on the website right now are also revealing it. So I waited until the endish of our show to get into it. But so anyone who really doesn't want to know anything about the upcoming season, maybe just go ahead and call it now. But otherwise, you have been warned, which is to say the idea that there's apparently a weather-related evacuation at some point. So I think they're building that into their promotional material now. So I'm not sure I would call it a spoiler specifically anymore, but we can be sensitive of these things.
Yep.
Yeah, so that's interesting. I wonder how they'll play that. I mean, I'm sure they've always had like a plan for what they would do if they had to do that. But the first time they've actually had to. So, I guess it depends on how long it goes, but just the idea of, if how long they have to be away, and if it's more than a day or so, how do they handle rules of like, are they allowed to eat?
Yeah, showers. Yeah, beds.
Because it feels like it almost feels like a little mean to say you can't have that. And I suppose it's like if everybody gets the same, then it's not really unfair. It's as long as it's the same for everybody, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, certainly it'll be a challenge because presumably they'll have to, if their shelters and stuff get torn up, they might have to rebuild that. I mean, there's been other seasons where they've had to rebuild their shelters from scratch for one reason or another, but yeah, it's interesting. We'll have to see how that plays out, and at what point in the season does it happen? Is it early on or is it midway through? I don't know. I don't know that part.
I don't know either. We'll have to see.
Yeah. So the theme aside, I'm excited to have Survivor back, and looking forward to getting to know these folks better than their 2-minute bio reads would allow.
Yes.
All right. And so I think that this hangout with the YouTube Live seems like it has worked just exactly as intended, and so hopefully we should be continuing that tradition. And of course, the audio version will continue to go up at christianaellis.com. So you can also listen to that as the podcast version, and hopefully I will succeed in getting that up on a timely basis. Because the video version's easy, like it just automatically posts as soon as we finish here, but the audio version requires more work of me. Anyway, thank you everybody for watching and or listening, and in the future, if you would like to participate when we're doing these live stream recordings, you can go to the event page, which is now at the YouTube video page, and I'll be tweeting out the links when they happen. And there's a little chat window in there, just like James Buchanan tweeted, or not tweeted, about being the Pepsi generation. So if you'd like to join us, then stay tuned, watch my Twitter or whatever, and we'll I'll post when we're going to do it. So I guess that'll do it. And watch Good Survivor.
Yes. Do it.